And then now in my role as a tax attorney, I really genuinely get to help people who are terrified. Some are suicidal even. And
yeah, I can imagine.
I feel like they're going to lose everything. So I find a great deal of purpose and be able to bring my accounting knowledge and legal knowledge to make a real difference, turn things around for people.
Dream Home Hunter Deep Dive.
All right, thanks. Today I have talking with me Miss Rachel Mathew, which is the co-owner of Polston Tax and Accounting and also an attorney. Thanks for sitting with me for a minute. I normally go over awards and achievements, but you have so many, it's kind of intimidating. I saw you were Attorney of the Year Award, next 40 Under 40 Award, Outstanding Young Alumni Award, and recently the Oklahoma Commission on the Status of Women. Is that right?
That's right.
Awesome.
That's right. Those are all correct.
Let's go ahead and get started. How did you get started with Polston Tax?
Yeah, I actually used to be an accountant before I went to law school. And it was when I was an accountant, I worked with small business owners and self-employed individuals, started to realize how important it was that they have good tax defense and how limited that was, how few attorneys really had an accounting background. And I decided to go to law school and be one of the attorneys who could provide tax defense for self-employed individuals and business owners.
Awesome.
My dad was a business owner and he was always self-employed my entire life. So
right.
I just have a real heart for business owners and that struggle.
Awesome. Fantastic. And so out of all the options, why use Polston Tax?
Yeah. So Polston, I actually didn't know Rod at all. And I had a mentor who in law school who had recommended that when I graduate, I identify who I thought was the best practitioner in the field I wanted to be in. And I identified that person to be Rod and reached out to him. He was a solo practitioner. He wasn't looking to hire any attorneys. And at the time I reached out to him, he was actually interviewing for a legal assistant. But I graduated law school, was bar certified, and just said, I would love to work for you in any capacity. I think you're the best tax attorney in the state. And when an opportunity to be an attorney with your firm opens up, I'll already be there. And luckily, the interview went well enough that he hired me as his first attorney, and we grew the firm. We both had a similar vision for how we could help people across Oklahoma and across the country. And now it's one of the biggest tax resolution firms in the country.
Definitely you are. What is a common myth that people may have about your industry?
It's a myth and true. I would say there are a lot of scams in this field. Mm-hmm. So I didn't realize that before I started practicing in this area, but there are a lot of fly-by-night companies that try to, pretend they can help, but they don't, and they scam people out of their money and prey on very vulnerable victims who are have a very serious problem they need help with. So that's not a myth. There are scams in this industry. And I would say I deal with a healthy dose of skepticism with clients that we meet on if our firm is different after they have heard some horror stories. So I would say it's a myth in that there aren't any people that can help because, our firm is one of the spaces in the tax resolution industry that really does help clients and get resolutions in place to negotiate with the IRS and the whole deal.
True. Definitely makes sense. And you obviously enjoy what you do. Otherwise, you wouldn't have so much activity and achievements. And from the outside, looks like tax law, all the industry is constantly changing. What is it about this business that keeps you engaged and excited?
I love helping people. Before I became an accountant, I had told my mom, and when I was in high school, that I wanted to be a nun. And she said, "We're Pentecostal, not Catholic, so you can't be a nun." And so but why I wanted to be a nun isn't so much that I knew what nuns did, so much as I had just decided that the best use of my life would be in service. And I identified nuns as being individuals who were living a life of complete service. And so once I understood that was the priority to me, I just It's helped to guide choices I've made in life and help me find ways to use my strengths and talents to help others. When I went to college, I became a math tutor for the math department and a supplemental instructor for the math classes. And then now in my role as a tax attorney, I really genuinely get to help people who are terrified. Some are suicidal even. And
I can imagine.
I feel like they're going to lose everything. So I find a great deal of purpose and be able to bring my accounting knowledge and legal knowledge to make a real difference, turn things around for people.
I agree with you. It's one of the things I love about the service industry. And Tony Robbins always talks about, when you meet your first four needs, the juice of life is growth and contribution. And service industry is one of those areas where you can definitely both grow and contribute. And especially, like you said, when you can help people who are almost don't have any other options. And then when you provide a solution for that, that's really cool. And the real estate market is stronger than it has been in a long time, not just in Oklahoma, but all across. Sometimes when people are renting, they don't realize the tax advantages of becoming a homeowner. What are some of the tax advantages people not be aware of buying a home?
Yeah. So there's several tax advantages to buying a home. Obviously, before you buy, make sure you understand all the costs involved with buying a home. But you can write off your mortgage interest. If you file married filing joint, you could write off up to $750,000. If you were a mortgage of $750,000, you could write off the interest that you pay in each year off your tax return. And what that write-off means, sometimes that term gets thrown around. It means you take the income that you pay, you take the money that you paid, and you get to deduct it from the taxes that you owe. And so you can have a real savings there just by writing off the interest. You could write off PMI. If you have to pay that, you could write off points. If you build up equity in your house and you take out a home equity line of credit and then you use it for home improvements, you could write off the interest on that. Maybe that you need to buy a new appliance for your home, or you want to change the backsplash, or whatever, all those decisions people make. You don't have to just pay for it out of pocket. Right. And also be paying the interest on that. And then property taxes can be written off, and that was limited to $10,000 a few years ago, but that can still be written off up to $10,000. And then if you live in a house and you have some capital gains, if you've been in the house for more than 2 years of 5 years, you can exclude those gains that you make on that house and not have to claim that as income. So I just see a host of advantages to being a homeowner. I would caution people, though, it's not just the mortgage that you need to count the expense for. And I don't want to go through that full list, but I think the advantages really do outweigh the benefits of renting. Definitely
so. And as business owners, especially in the service industry, we've had to kind of change the way we do business and still connect to our clients. What are some of the ways that you've improved your business and still connect and give people a personal touch with your clients?
It's a great question. So one thing, and I'm sure a lot of businesses in a variety of industries are saying this now, we've been trying to use Zoom since 2018 effectively. We had implemented it at our firm and we're promoting it to clients to meet with them, to have consultations over their phone via video chat. And it wasn't till this year, till 2020, I should say, that people really became accustomed to Zoom, and my entire day is spent video chatting with people, even in our own office. But I love that I can see clients and they can see me, and we can have that face-to-face conversation, have that personal touch, customized plans for solutions for the problem.
And in addition, all those things that you said, one of the things I also like is that sometimes it just makes things a little bit more convenient because, lives being busy, being in transit, like you can have a conversation on the client's schedule and work around, because not everyone has a traditional 9 to 5, or if they have that time, they may be busy. And that's one of the great things about technology is we're able to connect with them on a platform that they can get that in their time. So
yeah, no, I love it. And I love, this year alone, I spoke 61 times. I think the total, I've spoken 400 sometimes total. And this year, speaking 61 times in 11 states, I never had to once get up, get in my car,
Right.
put an address in my GPS, park, walk into a building. I mean, only less than a handful of times I've been trying to find the right place. And, but just all of that hassle's gone. And I love that.
Most definitely. And congratulations on being appointed to the Oklahoma Commission on the Status of Women. Tell us a little bit about that.
Thank you. Yeah, that was very exciting to find out I was nominated for that and be joining that commission. So the Commission on the Status of Women really takes a look at how are women doing in the state of Oklahoma. What, how much, what are they earning? What are their employment opportunities? What are their how many are going to college, how many are graduating from high school, just generally, how are women doing in the state of Oklahoma, and what programs can we implement to help them succeed? What are some of the struggles that are being faced by our female population, and what initiatives could we recommend and forward or help assist implementing?
Awesome. And I always like to ask some future-based questions. If you could remove all barriers and constraints, who is a dream client you'd like to work with and why?
A dream client that I would like to work with. I would love, this is just the nerdy side of me, but maybe married together with one thing I love, which is just basketball. I love watching NBA games, and every time, free agency comes around or players really it's free agency and players their contracts are ending, and you hear the rumors about teams that they will go to. So I said, it's the nerdy side of me. Well, let's start thinking about what are the taxes they're going to pay, on this contract or in that state. I remember a few years ago, Steve Nash was contemplating California or Toronto. And I thought, oh gosh, those are both high tax places. And that's how my brain works. So I that doesn't factor in the endorsements they could get from a major team. But
but definitely tax advantages play a part in where they play. And I didn't realize actually until talking, because my daughter used to dance on a junior dance team for the Hornets when they were here, and I got to meet and talk with several of the players, and just learning how even when you just play in a state for a day, how much you can be taxed for all the traveling and things that you do. Just
every single state they play in, they have to pay tax. I mean, but really that goes for anybody. If you do work in another state, if you're a fisherman from Oklahoma and you go to Maine and you catch some fish in Maine, and then you go, wherever, Pennsylvania, New York, and you catch some fish there, you better pay. And it's enough that you have to pay taxes. You have to pay taxes everywhere, including Oklahoma, even though you didn't catch any fish here. So just like that, all those players have to pay everywhere that they've played in, on top of wherever they live. It's interesting. I should add, I already have my dream client. My dream client is the business owner who's struggling, that I get to help and turn it around. So it's two different dreams, but I do feel like I already have that dream client every day.
That's awesome. And that's one of the things that makes work not feel like work, right? When you get to do what you love every day. That's awesome. And I've seen you talk a lot about investing in your mental real estate and embracing possibilities. And I'm a big believer in personal development, both in books, conferences, whatever you can do. If you could have a couple books on your nightstand, one or two, if you had to narrow it down. I know it's kind of like trying to decide your favorite song, but what do you think that would be?
Oh gosh. Okay. Well, there's one book that is my favorite of all time, and it's called The Fourth Dimension by Paul Yonggi Cho. And it talks about essentially the power of our mind, the power of faith, and that seed of faith and believing things into fruition. And I have lived an entire life with that, believing in this fourth dimension and believing things into fruition. So that would definitely be my number one. My number one book. Yeah.
That's awesome. I appreciate that. And I always like learning about new titles, because I've got several on my nightstand. Of course, my anti-library, I haven't read them all, but I love hearing about new books.
I'm a big fan of Audible books now. I have so much time just on the go. I like Audible.
Yeah, most definitely. Last couple questions as we finish up. If you could define it, what does home mean to you?
Oh, this is a great question. What does home mean to me? It's funny. I've actually thought a lot about this question the last year, and I'll give you a little context. So and honestly, it's important context because it's really not to say anything except just some facts. So I used to live in a house that was about 12,000 square feet, a little bit up on a hill overlooking a lake with a pool in the backyard and the hot tub and the basketball court and the movie theater and the game room. I mean, just everything you could want it had. And it was beautiful, beautiful home. And we sold it in 2020. And before I sold it, I had moved out and had to think, what is home? Mm-hmm. Do I want another 12,000 square foot house? And it helped me identify, it's cliche to say home is where the heart is, but I realized it really is the space where you take refuge, mm-hmm. and it's the space where you can have some mental rest, where you can find solace, where you can come to rest after a long day. Mm-hmm. I go hard every day. And so for me, home is just, where is that place you get to recharge and rest? And it doesn't have to be huge, and it doesn't have to be tiny. I thought I could move into something super tiny. I had this fantasy about, being in an apartment after that monstrous house. But that just wasn't practical either for me. But home really isn't so much the house or the structure as it is a space that you can recharge.
Exactly. I love that answer. And I love asking my interviews that, because I love seeing your face light up when you talk about what home means there, when you finally get the definition. Last question to get you out of here, because I know you're busy. Like I said, I came from the service industry, food service industry, electrical engineering. Always I like to ask a food question. If you could go out to eat, what's the next place that you're looking forward to next meal?
Yes, it just opened 2 days ago, yesterday maybe, Chicken Pickle. Mm-hmm. I really want to see what that concept's about. I heard there's all kinds of chicken. Mm-hmm. I want to see it more for the space, but if I were to pick a type of food, I really want to find some good Jamaican food. I love Jamaican meat patties, and I haven't really found a great Jamaican restaurant yet. Awesome. In Oklahoma City.
Right, exactly. Good answer. Just want to find one of those. I'll forward that on to you.
Yeah.
All right. Like I said, I know you're busy, so much to go. So thanks for talking with me, Miss Rachel Mathew, attorney and co-owner of Polston Tax and Accounting. I appreciate you, and I hope you have a great week.
Absolutely, Keith. This was so much fun. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
You bet. Have a great day.
Thanks. You too.
Dream Home Hunter Deep Dive, a Keith Pratt collaborative.